Hello and welcome to this section of the course. In this section, we are going to look at HTML CSS box model. Now, I said it previously that CSS HTML sees every element as a box. Okay, so this is where we are really going to explain. We are really going to look at what the box model is. All right, so we are going to start with CSS property called border. That is what we are going to start, and from there we will set the fire rolling. So that's it. The first on the list is let's create a div tag and give it a class called box. Okay, and give it a class called box, and inside this box element we can view it in a browser and you see that nothing is happening. Okay, what is happening behind the scene is this element is created. Okay, it's created, but because we have not defined the styling to this element, the browser is not displaying it, but it is a box on the page. All right, on the page, it's a box on the page. So I want us to take a look at something. We right click on the screen and go to inspect, the last one if you are using Chrome browser. So we go to inspect, and then on the element tab, you can see that our HTML is defined here. We have the head section and then we have the body. Okay, we are not interested with the head. The head shows exactly what we have declared. We have given to the the description of our head inside the HTML file. That is what is here. Let's come to the body, and inside the body you see that our div box is there. This is what we created here. Okay, this is what we created here. So the browser has seen this box. Okay, but it's not displaying it on the page because we have not given it the set of star. But this is what I want you to look at. Click on it and see. All right, when you click on it, you can see from this panel that the div has a display block, because the div is a block level element, and I said it that any block level element automatically they have a display block. Okay, because they are block level elements. The reason why they are block level element is because they take their weight, the 100% weight. Okay, they take 100% weight. So that's what you are seeing here. We can see that we have something small. It's like 620 times 624 times 0. And then we have another one with a label called padding. We have the border, we have the margin. Okay, this is what we are coming to look at. This is the box model. That small this box, look at the property that it contains. So this box that you are seeing comprising of the margin, the border, the padding, and then the content, which is the one labeled with 624 times O, that is the content. This is actually the representation of the box that you are seeing here. Okay, so we will come back to this particular screen to learn more, but at the moment I want you to close it and let's go back to the code editor. Okay, so let's give some couple of stars to this box so that we can make it look very, very good. All right, so it's a class, so we prefix it with a dot, and then the name of the class is box. All right, I want to give this box a width of 200 pixels, and also a height of 200 pixels. Okay, and I also want to give it a background of brown. Okay, everything is saved. Let me go back, we refresh. Okay, this is what now we are seeing on the screen. So the moment we give the width and the height together with the background, what was previously invisible has now become visible. So now we can see it on the screen. We will go back once again also, and then we expand the body element. Then we click on the box. Okay, So the moment we click on the box, this is something I want you to know. You see, the moment we click on the box, you have seen all the styles that we give to the element here, shown here. Okay, so all the styles that we give to our element are also visible here. This place is where you can use to debug your code. Okay, you can use this section to debug your code. For instance, maybe you are coding and you want to look at how things will look like in the real world. Okay, this is how you do it. So with the color blend, we can simply change it to blue. Okay, and you see, the moment we change it to blue, our box has also changed. We can also change it to green, and now, sorry, this is not where I want to apply that. Change it to green. Oh, my bad, this one, green, green. All right, green is now working. So if you want to change it, you simply move the mouse pointer to it and you click on it. This one, we can change the unit of measurement to pixel and other things. When we did the width and height, I talked about only pixels. Okay, I have reserved the other ones for future lessons so that we know the actual implementation of them. But you can use any other in your own time. You can try with any other unit of measurement that you know. They all work in HTML, CSS. All right, good. But any change that you make at this section is not going to be permanent. Any change that you make here is going to be temporary. Initially, our background was blue. Okay, so let's refresh and see. Now we change it to green. If we refresh, it goes back to the brown. So this is sort of like a play screen, a playground, where you get to manipulate and see how your element is going to look like in the real world. All right, that is something small of it. And if you want to know that an element is block level or not block level, automatically you'll see something like this. You see, the element was a div element. Okay, and there's a display block here. This is indicating that the div is a block level element. If it was not a block level element, the display would not be block as you are seeing here. Okay, so this is a very quick reminder for you to take notice while you code. You will not get lost, because this one will serve as a guide to help you. Let's come back to what we really want to do here. This is the margin, this is the padding, the border, and then the content. Okay, but at the moment, see, you watch the screen. If I put the if I highlight the content, you see it is selected. Okay, you see it's selected. If I put the mouse pointer to the 200 times 200, you see that the whole body, the whole box is selected. Okay, so it's telling us that this is what is selected for now. But the padding, when we put the cursor on the padding, nothing shows. When we put it on the border, it does not show as well. This simply means that this margin, border, padding, we've not set them. Okay, at the moment, what we have set is only the content, and you can see that the content has a weight of the height and width of 200 pixels each. Okay, 200 pixels each. That is what is shown here. So let's close it and go back to the code editor, and you can see that this is our width and this is our height, what was selected in the browser. Okay, so I will like us to move to this one. Let's take a look at border. Okay, border. So we declare it border. Okay, and this is how the border works. The border, before you set the border, you need to first set the border width. Okay, so I will set the border width to 1 pixel, and from there we also set the border style, and let me say solid. Don't worry, we will come back to explain. And then we have the border color, which is also let's choose black. Okay, we have the border style 1px, and then the border width 1 pixel, and then the border style is solid, and the border color is black. Let's view that in the browser. Refresh. Okay, so at the moment I am seeing it, but I'm not sure you will see it. I'm not sure you are seeing it clearly from the screen, but you can see that there's a black, a black thing, sort of like an outline over the edges of this box element. Okay, so what I will do here is let me increase the width of the border so that you can see it clearly. So I make it 5 pixels, and then let's refresh. Very good. So the moment we refresh, you see that there's something that's like an outline around the element, okay, indicating that this is what, this is the box, this is the border. Okay, and this is how the border works. When you are coming to set a border for your element, you first need to specify the border width. Okay, the width simply defines the width of the border. So if you come and make this side 15, you can imagine what will happen. This side will increase. Okay, so that's all about the border width. And with the border style, we have so many styles. We have solid. If you make your border style solid, this is what is going to happen. What you are seeing on the screen, you see this is a solid border. We can also change it from solid to solid to something, let's say dotted. We have other value for the property border style called dotted. Okay, so if we make it dotted, instead of solid is going to be dotted. So refresh. Have you seen? So instead of solid, it has changed to dotted. Not only that, we can also change it from dotted to double. And when we change it to double, look at what happens. Exactly as you are seeing on the screen. You see now the border is doubled. Okay, so these are the kind of styles that we have that we can give to our border when you are programming. So we can also, there's another one that we can also give called groove. Okay, GRROVE. This is how the groove look like. Okay, so with the border style, this is what it takes. First, it takes the width, and then it comes down to take the style you want to give to the border, and from there you give it the border color, just as the name implies. As for this one, I don't think it needs an explanation, but I have to because it's part of the lecture. So let's make the border color red. And okay, as for red, it's not going to look good because the brown and red are similar. Let's make it, sort of like yellow. We go back to the browser, we refresh, we see the yellow in action, but I don't like the groove, so I am going to change it to solid. I refresh, and now I see my border in action. All right, I hope you understand. Okay, very good. So this is all that we have with border. And in case if you are confused about the border styles, you can simply come here. The moment you do like, okay, let's border style. Okay, the moment you type the border style, automatically the IDE will populate the list of borders for you. Okay, we have dash, we have dotted, we have double, we have groove. Okay, even the dash I forgot to talk about, but if you click on it, it is going to be dashes. What you are seeing on the screen. So don't worry yourself trying to memorize all these things. Okay, that is why you have the IDE. As a programmer, you have a whole lot of things to do, so the IDE will also help you so that you memorize them. Okay, so the moment you type the border style like this, border style, the IDE will automatically populate them for you to choose between. But the most common one that you will be seeing most of the time is the solid. Okay, there are so many types, so in your free time, try as much as possible to play around them and explore something that I have not even covered in this lecture. But on the normal basics, this is what is needed to create your CSS border. Okay, all right. If you understand perfectly, then I thank God. And one thing that I'll highlight is this way of creating border in CSS is a long way. Okay, this is the long method, but there's also a short method that you can go with. This is the short method. You first declare the border, so border, okay, and then we start with the border width. So I want this border to have a width of 5 pixels, okay, 5 pixels. And then the next thing that follows is what? The border style. You don't need to mix them, you need to follow the order. So first one is border width, second one is border style. I'll give it a style of solid, and then the last one is what? Just as you guessed, border color. So border color too, we give it a color of indigo. Indigo, very good. So let's go to the browser and see. This was what we had previously. We refresh it and oh, my bad, something is not working. Something is not working. Okay, the color that I give, indigo, that is not how to spell indigo. My spelling is indigo. Very good. So let's go back to the browser, refresh, and you see it on the screen. Okay, you see it on the screen. You always want to go with faster method. Okay, as a programmer, you have a whole lot of things to do, you have a whole lot of codes to write, so try as much as possible to use quick and easy way. Okay, so you specify the border here. Okay, let's just change this one from solid to dashed. Okay, and let's see how it will also be seen on the screen. All right, so you can see it perfectly that the dash is now in action. All right, so we go back to the code editor, and as for me, I don't like the dashes mostly. I'm not a fan of that. I like to go with the solid, and for my viewers to have the best look, let me make it 10 pixels. Let me make it 10 pixels so that it can be seen clearly. Okay, all right, so that is all about border. That is all about border. The next thing that I want us to look at is margin. Okay, the next thing I want us to look at is margin. So when we say margin, margin is the space that around an element. Okay, the space around an element, talking about the outside outside of the element. Okay, so this is the element, this is the element, so this side is going to be the margin, the space outside this side. Okay, the space outside, you see where the white is, where we have the white, this I'm talking about this area. Okay, this area, all the spaces around this element, they are the margin. Okay, the space, this is the content, the brown, the border of indigo, they are all what? They are the content. But this outside, this space, the space here, okay, these spaces, they are called the margin. So it's not enough to be talking. Let us go back to the code and look at what we can do. So at the moment, I'm going to specify margin top. Okay, this is how the margin goes. Don't worry, I'll take time to explain. For now, look at what we are doing. Okay, margin top. The margin is also like the padding. Okay, we have top, bottom, left, and right. Don't forget this. Always put it in your mind that every element in CSS HTML is a box. So because it's a box, we have the top, the bottom, the left, and also the right. Okay, yeah. So the margin that we also said, we have the bottom, we have the left, and then the top here. Okay, this, not this side really, but this side, this space, and also what is here. So we have the left, the bottom, the top, and also the left. All right, the top, right, bottom, and then the left. And then the padding is also the same, but we are going to after the margin, we are going to look at padding. Please take a very close attention to this particular side because it gets most people confused. Okay, if you get this, it will save you a lot of time trying to move from tutorials to tutorials. So we are going to set the margin top. Let me set the margin top to 20 pixels and watch what happens on our page. At the moment, this is how it looks like. When I refresh, hello, have you seen the changes? You see that here at first the space was small, okay, but the moment we give a margin top of 20 pixels, the space has increased. What if I change it to 40 pixels? When I change it to 40 pixels and I refresh, you see it has also changed. If that is the case, I want you to pause this video and apply a margin left to this side so that the space of this side will increase. Okay, try and give it a margin of let's say 50 pixels. Give it a margin of, okay, let it be 40. Give it a margin of 40 pixels. Pause the video and try it, and when you are done, you resume to look at the real solution. All right, thank you so much for your obedience in doing, but if you couldn't do it, no problem, that's totally fine. Let's do them together. So margin left is 40 pixels. Okay, so let's look at how it was before. You refresh now and you see. Okay, so what is this telling you? What this one is the what you are seeing here is the content. Okay, it's our div. I'm talking about this box. This box is the div. Okay, is this guy here, this element that we've given these styles to. That is what you are seeing here, the brown content with the indigo border. Okay, this is the element, and we have given it a margin, and we are seeing that there's a space around it for now. Let's go to inspect and then come to the body and click on the border. Okay, so this is our border element. The width and then the height, the background, the indigo that we gave, everything is seen here. Okay, but I want you to take a look at something. You see, the moment I select the margin, okay, the moment I select the margin, you can see that from my screen it is selected. Okay, you see here is this particular side, the white space is it's white, but the moment I put my my mouse pointer to the margin of this box object, you see that it is selected. This is showing you that at the moment this is the margin that our element is having. The space in gray or gold or yellow something, that space represents the margin of the element. And you see in our code we give it a margin top of 40 pixels and margin left of 40 pixels. That is why you are seeing the margin here with the left being 40. Okay, you can see that the left is 40 and then the top is also 40. As for the left and then the right, we have not given. As for this left and right, we have not specified. Okay, so quickly let's go and specify that one and see things in action. All right, let's give a margin bottom of also 40 pixels and a margin right of also 40 pixels. So we go to the browser now and we refresh. Good. When we refresh, we will see that the top is now 40, the left is 40, the bottom is 40, and the right the left and here is right, they are all 40, 40, 40. Okay, so this is telling us the margin of the element. All right, this is where it lies. So when we hover the margin portion, we see it selected from the screen. When we hover the border, you see we have a border of 10 pixels each. If you can look at this element, you see that the color is indigo, but when I move my cursor to the border of the box model element, you will see that that aspect is selected. It is trying to tell us, okay, it is trying to tell us that this particular side, okay, my arrow is very bad. This particular indigo border that you are seeing, when we select it, it changes the color so that you can see the one that is selected, like the property that is selected. So the border now is selected. That's as you are seeing on the screen. And then we have the padding, but at the moment when we hover or when we go to the padding, we don't see anything. Okay, why we don't see anything is we've not given it in the padding. All right, so now we have given it a margin. We have a margin around them, and by default, okay, I'll say this one in the near future. This will bring a lot of confusion. So border is selected, and then the padding, as for padding, is not selected. Why padding is not selected is we've not given padding to the element. And then the content, you see the color has changed. Okay, so every element that you create in HTML CSS, that element already contains margin, border, padding, and then the actual content. Okay, so from our case, our actual content is the box element that we created here, the box element. Okay, that is the actual content that we have. Sorry. And then the border is the indigo man, the one we give a color indigo, 10 pixels each. The 10 is indicated here. And then the margin is the whole screen. Okay, it's not the whole screen like that, but for now, because this is the only element sitting on the page, that is why when we hover it, you see it across, like you see it selected from around the page. But that is not how it looks like. As we go further, you will understand more. Okay, so this is something small that I want us to look at. Let us go back to the code and see some quick way of doing things. Okay, this is a way of setting a margin for an element, but same like the border, this is the long way. Okay, this is the long way. So we actually have a shorter way, a much simple and short way of dealing with the margin. Okay, so we have, this is how it goes. You write your margin, okay, and as for margin, it's like the clock. So take a look at this diagram. So you see the diagram that we have on the screen. It's a clock, okay, and this side is a 12, and this is going to be 3, this is 6, and this is 9. Okay, this the normal way of our clocks. So when setting the values for margin, okay, if you want to input them at the same time, this is where you start from. You start from the top, the left. The next value that comes will be the bottom margin, bottom value, and then the last one will be the margin left. Okay, when we are setting them together, or when we are setting them at once, we will set the first value that will come will be for the top, the following one will be for the right, and then the preceding one will be for the button, and the other one that will come, which is the last one, is going to be the margin left. Okay, so to see this properly in action, let us demonstrate it from the code. Okay, so now we are in our code editor. So the first one is for the top, so let me give a margin top of 40 pixels, and then the next one that comes is the right. So right is also 40 pixels. Okay, let me, before, so that we can see the changes, let me change the values. So the right, let me give the right 30 pixels. Okay, and then like the clock, from the right you go to the button, okay, in a clockwise direction. So the button, let me give the button also 10 pixels. And then the last one, which is the margin left, so the margin left, I give it a property of 90 pixels. Okay, 90 pixels. So this one is the top, the left, the button, and the left. Okay, this is the top right, top, right, button, and then the left property. So take a look at this closely. You are going to see them in action. For now, this is what we already, at first it was 40. Let me refresh and you will see the changes. Okay, so the moment I refresh, you can see that the margin top is what, 40, and then the margin right is 30. Let's go and see. The top is 40. Okay, and from the top you go to the right, which is 30. From the right you go to what, the button, and then the last is 90, which is the left. So we are expecting the button and then the left to be 10 and 90 respectively. So 10 and 90. All right, the button is 10 and then the left is 90 respectively. Okay, so this is a quick way of setting the margin for your element if you want to set them at the same time. Okay, but the order follows. The order follows. This is how it should always be. Okay, the first value that comes will be for the top, and then the next one in that order going to be the right, and then this guy 10 pixels the button, and then this one is also going to be the left. Okay, but there are some instances and there are some conditions that you don't want to be setting everything as we've done. Maybe you want to give the margin top and the margin button the same value, and then the margin left and right to the same value. Okay, this happens when you want to set them together, but there are sometimes you want to give the left and right, you want to give the margin left and margin right the same let me say the same value. Okay, the left and right the same value, and the margin top and margin bottom to the same value. How you goes about that is very, very simple. So let's comment this out. How you go about that is you also declare your margin property, margin. Okay, and the first value that comes is for the top and then the bottom. So I want the margin to have top and bottom of 90 pixels, and I also want they are together. What is going on? Okay, so the top and bottom will be 90 pixels, and then the left and right is going to be 13 pixels. Okay, the numbers really does not matter here because I just want to use it for illustration. Okay, I just want to use it for illustration. So we go to the browser, we refresh. Okay, and the moment we refresh, you see that there has been some changes. It has shifted because the border, the margin has changed. I gave it top and bottom of 90 pixels. Okay, top and bottom. The first one that comes is for top and bottom, and then we give it left and right of also 13 pixels. Okay, so that is how to deal with the margin. Okay, that's how to deal with margin. So I think it makes sense for us to do something small so that we can really see things in action. All right, at the moment you can see that our margin is set, our border is also set, but the padding is not set. Okay, but our content too is set. So when we put the mouse over the content, you see that the width has appeared, the width and height has appeared, and then the border is also here, but the padding aspect has not been shown, simply because we have not set the padding attribute. Okay, so quickly I want us to go back to the code editor, and inside the index HTML file, let's create another element that will house this this box. Okay, let's create a parent element, call it a div with a class of parent. Okay, a div with a class of parent, and we will put this div. Okay, we put this div inside the parent element. Okay, so now we have two divs here, the parent div and then the child div. The parent, we've given it a class of parent, and this one to the box, which is the child, has the class box. Okay, so now quickly let me just give some styles to the parent element. Okay, so I like to come to the top here. You can put it anywhere, but parent, and let me give the parent a width of fit content and then a height of fit content. Okay, what fit content does is, I think I explained it earlier on, but it will give this parent element, a width and a height that this child element will bring or will introduce. So if the child element has a width of 200 pixels, automatically the parent is going to wrap around the 200 pixels correctly without having any issues or giving any overflows and other stuffs. Okay, it is going to fit the content that is inside. That is what the fit content does, and this one to the same. You can also make it auto. Okay, you can also, for instance, set the height to auto, which will automatically wrap around the child element. Wrap around the child element without having to give any issues. All right, but if we go back to the page and we refresh, we are not going to see anything. Okay, but you can notice that inside our body element, we can see the parent selected here. This is the parent. When we expand it, okay, when we expand it, each time you see this one, it means that the element has a child inside. That is why we are seeing this sort of like expanding and closing button. So this is the parent and this is the child. Okay, when we click the child, when we select the child, we see that the child now has these properties. Okay, the child now has these properties. And when we select the parent, we see the parent has a width of fit content and a height of auto. It's a display block element, so that one too is indicated here. All right, so when we hover things around, we can see the margin selected. That's for this one. I think I covered that one already. Okay, but this is the content and this is the margin. It is taking the content of covering everything of the child because it houses the child. All right, now I think this is the perfect way to let me check. Let's look at something also. So I almost forgot. Okay, this is when we want to give the individual sizes. Okay, and this is when we want to give the top and then the button, the top and then the buttons. This was the top and button and then the left and right. Okay, but what if we want to give all round margin for all round? We simply say margin and then we give the color, maybe 40 pixels. This will give a margin of 40 pixels to around all the sizes. Okay, so we refresh and you see that now we have, oh, what is happening? Let's go and then check, because it should give. All right, let's go back and then we check the margin of 40 pixels to sure it has come. Okay, just that this one is not being selected. We just select the child and we can see that it has a margin of all round of 40 pixels. Okay, and I want you to take a look at something. When we hover on the margin, you see that at first it was selecting the whole white screen. Okay, at first this part, all of this side were being selected. Okay, don't mind my my drawings. Okay, don't mind them. At first all sides were being selected, but the moment we added the parent, we have set sort of like a border, a definition. Okay, definition for the child element. So now we can see it perfectly in action. As we move forward, we are going to be using margin and padding everywhere. So you are going to build a solid understanding about this concept. So don't worry. Okay, just let's follow around and let's go on. One of my concepts is to make sure that you code more than me. You know it better than me. Okay, not just some writing of any code, but correct code. So don't worry, you'll get them correctly. Now we have the margin set. We have the border set. Okay, you see, as I select the margin, the area around the content is selected. When I move to the border, you see that the border, which was indigo, has even now changed to a different color, telling you that this is currently the selected one from the box model from this side. And then let's go to the padding. When we go to the padding, we are not seeing any padding. Okay, we are not seeing any padding. When we come to the content is selected. So now we have the content, we have the border, and then we have the margin, but the padding has not, has not been set. The padding has not been set. Okay, so if we say margin, simply margin is the area around an element. Okay, or let me say is the area outside the border. Okay, you see that the border is the indigo. Okay, the border is the indigo, so the margin is the area around the border. All right, any area space around the border is the margin. And then it doesn't matter if you do not, if we even take out the border property from there, it will still be the margin. Okay, if you don't set or specify a margin for an element, that does not mean the element does not has a margin. It still has. Okay, so we can comment the border out and we will refresh. We will still see that the border is the margin is still the margin, just that the border is not set, but that does not mean that the margin will change. The margin is what it is. Okay, all right, so this is all about the margin. This side, when we want to give the individual side, this is like the clockwise direction, the top, the left, the button, and then the left. And if we want to set the top and bottom, left and right, then this is how it goes. The top and then the button will have this property, this value, and then the left and the right will also have this value. But if you want to set margin for all sides, then we use the margin and then its value. All right, we give the margin and its value. So this is how to go about with margins. You can set the individual sides, that is the top, the left, the button, or however you want them. Okay, as for setting the individual sides, you can start with the left or you can start with the button. Anyone you want to start, it will work. But if you want to set them all together like this, then it follows the clockwise direction. This is the top and button. Okay, and this is for all sides. All right, we are done with the border and then the margin. Let's look at the padding. Okay, as for the padding, it's just like this one, so I don't think I'll even explain much. Okay, you can set individual size like this one. It can also be like this. Okay, so margin and padding are almost the same. So let's look at padding. I'm setting padding for all sides and I'm giving it a padding for 50 pixels. I'm giving it padding of 50 pixels. Okay, so let's refresh. All right, padding of 50 pixels. Padding of 50 pixels. You can see that now the box have changed. Okay, I think I forwarded the video. Let me rotate things back so that we can see it correctly. So let's refresh. By default, this is how our element looks like. Okay, this is how the element looks like. And let me my bad, supposed to comment this one rather. So the margin, yes, this is how the our element look like. Okay, and at the moment it has no padding. It has no padding. Let's apply the padding of 50 pixels to our element and we refresh. We see some changes, right? We see that it has increased. Okay, so the padding has added an extra sort of like width and height to the element. Let's look at the padding. Okay, so you see the selected portion of the element, that is the padding. Okay, that is the padding. Our element is this one. Our element is the 200 pixels that you are seeing selected now, and the padding is the area in between the content and then the border. Okay, the area or the space in between the content and then the border is what we call the padding. Okay, so we can as well come and reduce it from 50 to 30 and go back to the browser and refresh, and you can see, we can see that the content is here, the border is here, but the margin has now been reduced to 30. You can also see the 30 all around here. All right, you can see the 30 all around here. So that's something that I want you to take a look at. Okay, as for padding, just as I said, it's just like this one. You can set the padding left, padding left, padding left, padding, oh, what is going on, padding right, in that order. Okay, you can also have the padding right, then padding, what is going on, my keyboard is doing something, padding top. Okay, padding top. We can specify, give them individual values. Okay, individual values like 10, the left is 10 pixels, the right is 15 pixels, and then the button is also 50 pixels, and whatever you want. So let me say 13 pixels as well. All right, 13 pixels, and this is going to work like the other one. Okay, one thing that I want to also say, that with HTML, CSS, or in programming languages, code are read from top to bottom. Okay, code are read from top to bottom. This side we are setting all the padding. We are setting padding for all the sizes to have a value of 30 pixels. Okay, that is why when we came here we saw that the padding has sizes of 30, 30, 30 all around. Okay, and here comes that we have also declared another set of rules giving the top, the left, the top and bottom a different values. What do you think will happen? Which one will take effect? Will it apply the 30 pixel, or will it going to change to use this one? Well, it's going to change to use this newly declared styles, because code are read from top to bottom. The computer read the code from top to bottom. So when it came here, it saw the padding 30 pixel and applied the padding value to all the size, because this is what it means. And now we came here and it saw another set of rules, another properties. So now it will override the 30 pixels and now we'll use this one. So let's take a look at something. At first it was 30 all around. We refresh, and when we refresh we can see that the pattern has now changed. Now top is 13, left is 15, 50, and in that order. And you can see when we select the padding to see the button is having 50. That is why it's bigger than all the other sides, and this 10, 15, 13 in that order. Okay, so that's something small. You can also use what we declared previously, set to top and bottom to be 5 pixels and left and right to be also 6 pixels, or declare everything together like this one. Okay, so that is something small about the box model in CSS and HTML. Yes, sure, in HTML. This is something that you don't want to miss. You need to master yourself with them, because that is what we will be using in our code everywhere. So quickly, let me go back. I think it makes sense for me to go back to our code and explain it once more. Okay, and once more. So in every box element we have it is comprised of 1, 2, 3, 4. Every element have these properties: 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the one in the middle is the content. Okay, is the content. Either it's your text, it's your form, is whatever it is. Every element is a content here. So the content is the particular element. In our case, our element was the box, the div with a class called box. That was the element. The one we gave it a width of 200 pixels and a height of 200 pixels. You can see them from this side. Okay, and we have padding. The padding is the area between the content and then the border. Okay, so the border is the one selected. You can see from the screen I gave it the color of indigo. This is the border. Okay, this one you can watch from the screen. So the border and the content, the space in between them, okay, the space in between them is what we call the padding. All right, this is what we call the padding. This one is what we call the padding. And then the margin is the space outside the border. Okay, the margin is the space outside the border. If you get this, then I thank God you have the concept right now. So this is something small that I want you to take a look at, so that in the future videos, as we do things, as we code, you are not going to be left out. You are going to be equipped with the understanding that it takes, okay, for you to develop your web page in a nice and clean way. Okay, so this is, we bring the curtains to an end, we bring the curtains down. This is the end of the video, and please, thank you so much for watching the video with me, and I'll urge you to subscribe if you have not subscribed to the channel. This is what keeps us motivated to bring new content and videos every day. I like you to also like the video, share it with your friends, and also give us your comment. Okay, so if I made a mistake, if I said something that shouldn't have been said, well, I'm very happy for you to correct me, because I am always learning something new. All right, so thank you so much for your time, and see you in the next video.